Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. What's going on? It's Christian Ballard here at Ballard Sports Media. Christian Ballard, sports journalist, still working towards it, still going. And I got to hear from you guys. We got a couple people already tuned in. So I love and appreciate that. I kind of scheduled this last minute. If you're watching this back, thank you. Do us a favor and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. This will be a quick live stream. Uh, Part of it being live is just in case people do show up in the comments and have feedback. Also, I don't feel like going through and trying to upload another video. I've been uploading some stuff for the Mississippi State channel, and it's just more convenient to go live after you've uploaded maybe 4 videos already this week. So there's that. But we want to talk today here on August 5th, 2025, which teams in college football actually need to make the college football playoff in 2025. I'm not talking about who needs a title. We've talked quite a bit about that this offseason. It's it's time to kind of get into like predicting the CFP field, which I honestly, this whole expansion and everything, it just kind of wears me out. Like it was so much easier just to pick your 4 teams. This is what I'll go with, and then pull for them. Now you're trying to, like, make 12-team brackets and stuff all off season, getting ready for the season, and it's fun, but it does get kinda old. I did my top 25 the other day. I talked about Texas, Ohio State, Georgia. The usual suspects are probably gonna make the college football playoff. What teams actually need to make the playoff this year? In other words, if there's a favorite out there that misses it, is it the end of the world? Texas has made it the past 2 years in the playoff. They made a run at the semifinals last year in a 12-team field, and they fell shy. And I like them as one of my championship preseason picks. Is it a disappointment if they're not one of the best 12 teams to make the college football playoff? I don't think you put Sark on a hot seat or anything, but all the buildup, all the expectation, all the hype in the past few years, yeah, they've lost some players to the NFL, especially with Isaiah Bond and Quinn Ewers or whatever. But like Arch Manning last year still showed up when he needed to. And there's a lot of hype and expectation for him to be in Heisman contention, right? I think when you look at the odds for this season, according to ESPN Bet, Ohio State and Texas are both at 550. You got Penn State, you got Georgia, Clemson to round out the top 5. Notre Dame, Alabama, Oregon, those teams around 11 or 1200. Then you get the long shots in there like LSU, Michigan, Florida, whoever. Florida at 40 or 4,000 odds, whatever. I mean, okay, it's not gonna happen, but is that a team because of the talent and stuff coming back and they wanna spot the ball? Is that something where you look at Florida, you say they at least need a playoff berth? No, they don't. They need to make a bowl game. They need to get back to competing on a level in the SEC against teams like Georgia. They got Texas on the schedule. I know they're probably not going to win those games, but you hope to put on a good showing and win the games like Florida State or Mississippi State or whoever they got out there that you're supposed to win, and try to improve to something like 8 or 9 wins if you can. Probably not 9, but maybe 7 or 8. You know, so is Florida on the list of a team that needs to make the college football playoff this year? No. But if they improve on what they were able to do last year with 6 or 7 wins and they bring some stuff back, you got Lagway at quarterback. We'll talk about it next off season as we get to 2026. We're not there yet, but maybe they'll be on this video next year, as being talked up as one of the teams that ultimately needs to make a college football playoff appearance. What about Michigan? It's interesting. If it was still Jim Harbaugh, even with the season they had last year, I would say yes. Michigan here's the thing, though. They beat the champions in Ohio State last year. They already showed that they can win a national title. Now, granted, I know they cheated on their way to it, but I still think even if they didn't cheat, I think the Wolverines in 2023 would have found a way to win. I just thought they were the best. I would believe and want to believe, and I do believe that they were the best team that year. They lost a lot of talent, especially at quarterback JJ McCarthy and um, Blake Corum at running back, Donovan Edwards, stuff like that. They're gone. But last year's kind of a rebuild year. You got a first year head coach is Sharon Moore, who had experience when Harbaugh was suspended. He was the interim coach at games like Ohio State or whatever. Do they need to get back since they just won a title and because of how big a brand they are? And the fact that they've made the playoff at least three times. And, at first it was like they lost two straight because they lost to Georgia and TCU before they even beat Alabama and won a national title. So do they need to get back? Do they need to be one of the best 12 teams? Michigan's kind of on my list there. I didn't even write out a list. I'm just kind of threw this together last minute, like thinking about it. Like who's out there, man? Who's out there? So the coaches polls out this week. Texas is number one, Ohio State number two. Does Ohio State have to make it this year? I think so. I mean, you're the defending champs. You might as well make it. I think Penn State's disappointed if they don't make it. I think the same could be said for Texas and Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, year two under Kalen DeBoer. Yeah, we have to make it. They got to go, man. I'm not saying they got to win the SEC to get there, but they got to be SEC runner up or the team on the outside looking in at 10 wins minimum, 10-2. Even if those two losses are in the SEC, you're looking at, well, you're going to have Georgia, Texas again, or maybe it's a Georgia LSU or Texas LSU, or does A&M get in there? Who knows? Uh, Alabama's got to make it this year. You talk about teams that actually need to make the college football playoff. I think Bama's got to be one of the top ones, right? You say, well, you're just saying that because you're a Bama fan. No, the from the Bama fan standpoint, I'm saying I darn sure hope so. From a if I had to play the analyst card, I think a lot of people out there would agree that Alabama has to get back to it, man. They just have to. Well, they ain't got Nick Saban. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't care who it is. Kalen DeBoer's got a winning record everywhere he's been. He's proven to be a winner. Now he's got to show it that he could do it in the SEC and at Alabama. There's a reason they brought him in, and it was to keep it alive. That's fair. LSU. I don't think they have to. I think they want to. I think it's a good chance they will. South Carolina, not a team that has to. I talked about Michigan, Illinois. What about Arizona State? Arizona State's interesting. There's so many teams they put out in this top 25 that just stand out. USC, they got to do something with Lincoln Riley. He can't win a playoff game to save his life, but I think Lincoln Riley has to get back to the playoffs and actually win a playoff game. I don't care where it's at. I don't think it's necessarily Southern Cal that has to do it. I think it's Lincoln Riley, right? Because there was a big target on his back. Everybody wanted him, man. The Cowboys almost got him a couple years ago, and he ended up in Southern Cal. But yeah, man, oh, There's only a few teams out there that have to make the playoff. Penn State has to make the playoff. Doesn't have to win a title. Texas, I think, has to try to make a national championship. They haven't even made a national championship yet. Alabama gotta make the playoff. Georgia has to make the playoff. And again, these are teams, some of them, like Texas and Penn State, they're just gonna be that good this year, that they're going to make it. What about the long shots? What about the Ole Miss, the Florida, the SMU? Does SMU have to make it back? No, I don't think SMU does. I think they need to have a good season, but I don't think it's a playoff or bust scenario for Rhett Lashley and the Mustangs. I just don't. Outside of Clemson in the ACC, my gut says Miami just has to, man. I just think it's a big time brand in football right now. I'm not saying they're a good program or great historically. I'm not going to say that. I just think when you hear Miami Hurricanes, you don't you kind of think mediocrity, but you also kind of get that stuff in your head about the early 2000s before they joined the ACC and how good they were. And one of those years they had even won a championship. So I look at them, I say they open with Notre Dame at home. They have Bethune-Cookman, South Florida. Could they start 3-0 there before they play the Gators? Then they go to Florida State. They could even start 5-0. The only thing stopping them right now is Notre Dame to start out. You're going to have good teams out there like Louisville and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's out on the schedule. They got to play Syracuse later. There's a lot of teams I like this year that could make a run, like Tech, like Syracuse. I think from the ACC, the only teams I can think of that have to make it back to the playoff or to the playoff. I don't know if I want to say make it back, mentioning Miami, but like Clemson's got to get back. I think the window's closing, not on Dabo, but just like a national title again. I think this is the year to do it. If you're Clemson, you got to go out there. You got to show up, show out. Miami's got to make the playoff this year. Clemson has to make the playoff this year. Tennessee, after the offseason they've had, they just got to find a way to not screw up. I don't think they need to necessarily make the field. I don't know. Iowa State, I think they just got to make it to a Big 12 title and get into. I don't know. From the Big 12, it's like you're going to have your Baylors, your Arizona States, your Iowa States. I think one of those 3 teams, I think the top 3 probably Arizona State, Baylor, and Iowa State, probably the 3 teams going into the season for the Big 12. Maybe Kansas State instead of Baylor. I don't know, but those are my top 4 at least. Any of those teams actually have to make the playoff? I mean, though you talk about the Big 12, you talk about teams that have to make a Big 12 title, which will put them in the playoff, but I don't know. The Big 12, I think the Big 12 just needs a playoff team or 2, just for the Big 12's sake. I don't think there's any team only I only say this because think about it, Texas and Oklahoma are now in the SEC. So for that, um, who's left in the Big 12 that you say this brand has to be there? Not much options when it comes to that, honestly. So, gotta hear feedback in the comments. We are live, but if you're watching this back, I appreciate you. Even if you disagree with me, leave a thumbs up. It's free to do. It helps the channel. We're trying to grow and get monetized here. And if you do agree, that's great. Even more reason to hit that thumbs up. Comment down below whether you agree or disagree on some of these teams. Let me know about teams I'm overlooking, missing out on. I, Colorado, TCU made a national championship. Then they fell off to 5-7. Then I guess went 5-7 again last year. I don't know what's going on there. But well, Sonny Dykes made one national championship out of luck and stuff. Maybe it was luck. I don't know. I think Sonny Dykes needs to make it, not so much the brand of TCU. I think it's a coaching thing there that just if he ever takes another job and goes somewhere else, does he turn that program around and ultimately get in the CFP? So, but yeah, just only a handful of teams out there. I noticed we have a couple people watching. I don't see anybody in the comments yet, and I didn't drop the call-in link, the StreamYard link. Probably not going to do that today. Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has to make the playoff. I, they have to, right? Making a national championship, being the runner-up to Ohio State, the schedule. Like when you talk about teams that have to make the CFP, Notre Dame is like blueprint of a team that has to make it, right? Or am I crazy? They come into the coaches poll ranked number 5 behind Georgia, Texas at 1, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Notre Dame, your top 5. They open at Miami. Chances are they are going to win that game, but also 50-50 chance type of game there that they lose to Miami. Texas A&M at home. 2 tough games to open things up, but then Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State is a team I look at. Getting back to Notre Dame, I mean, does Notre Dame really have to make the college football playoff this year? I think so. I think they're due for a title. They've been due for a title. They are long overdue, man. Brian Kelly should have had that. He made one in 2012 against Alabama, failed, never got back to it. Marcus Freeman comes in year 2 last year and just he always loses a game he's not supposed to. Last year was Northern Illinois. Year before that was Marshall. But he made the national championship last year. I'm not saying Notre Dame's got to get back and win a title, but they got to be in the playoff, man. They got to. You say, well, they got a tough schedule. Do they? Let's look at it. Holy cow! I mean, do they have a tough schedule? I don't have it memorized. I don't. I mean, I look at it, kind of surprised myself here. I know they always play Power Four opponents, but they are known to pick some weak ones. Miami on the road. Okay, that's tough. Texas A&M at home. Again, night game at home. It favors you. It's got to at least. You get a bye in between. Okay, that could be tough. Purdue, dog doo doo. Not good. Not tough. At Arkansas, I think Arkansas is improved, but I think Notre Dame runs them over. Boise State, okay. Yeah, that's tough. NC State, I don't believe in. USC is a big rivalry game. That's tough. I've probably named only 3 or 4 out of 6 games we've looked at. Boston College, no. Navy, a big rivalry there. Again, some of these teams are questionable. At Pitt, probably not. Syracuse, I'm high on Syracuse. Be careful there. At Stanford, no. So maybe half their schedule's really tough, but it's a doable schedule. Um, for Notre Dame, I just they gotta get back. They gotta win something, man. They gotta win a title at some point. Join a conference. But Notre Dame, if Notre Dame is the national runner-up with the same coach this next year, and Marcus Freeman, obviously. and they returned some talent. What? Why would they not get back to the playoff? Why? That doesn't make any sense to me, man. The schedule does set up. We just talked about how half of that schedule is just dog crap. Honestly, sorry to say it like that, but that's not the toughest schedule in the world. I mean, Miami and Texas A&M, USC rivalry game. I'll give you that one. I don't, I don't know how good or bad Boise State's going to be this year, but you play the ACC teams at Boston College and Pitt and Syracuse. Syracuse, I love this year. And they don't have to make the playoff, but they're a dark horse at least for the conference, in my opinion. Stanford's nothing. Notre Dame's got to find a way to get 10 games out of that and go to the playoffs. I don't even think they have to be undefeated. They weren't last year. What'd they go? 11-1 with the Northern Illinois loss, and they still got in. And they're not even in a conference with a conference title. Notre Dame, if Notre Dame is not one of the best 12 in the eyes of the committee, something is seriously wrong with Notre Dame next year. What's up, Nate? Good to see you. What, Nate? Who do you think? I'm not gonna drop the link or anything, but who do you think actually has to make the playoff this year? Like it's playoff or bust. I mentioned Michigan already, but uh, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, maybe. I think they just need to win 10 games, whether it gets them in or not. South Carolina, they're not in desperation for a playoff. They just need to show that last year wasn't a fluke with Lenora Sellers and company. You feel like, man, I don't know. There's only a handful of teams, and I know that. Oh, Texas A&M, yeah. Uh, Mike Elko, yeah. I guess. I mean, I guess I kind of brought him up. I kind of overlooked him too. They have Texas A&M at national championship odds. At where are they? Are they even listed in the odds? What 4,000? They're tied with 4,000 with Florida and Miami. But their schedule, speaking of Notre Dame, they have to go to Notre Dame. They host UTSA and Utah State, so they'll be undefeated going into week 3. Auburn at home could go either way, but I think as much as I like Auburn this year to make a bowl, if anything, I think it's going to take some time throughout the season. Mississippi State's a win. Florida at home's probably a win. Arkansas on the road's a win. At Texas, that's a loss. If I'm looking at losses for them, Notre Dame, Texas, probably South Carolina, 9-3. They'd have a case, but do you think that um I mean, does Texas A&M have to make the playoff? That's really a good question. Utah, yeah, gotten hyped the last 3 years and disappointed. Yeah, yeah. Utah's getting on my nerves. I've liked Utah for a while. They're getting on everybody's nerves. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Utah unless you're like BYU or whatever. Like everyone's like, oh, look at Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising. Utah, man, they could do something this year. And then they have a good first half, and then they do nothing meaningful the second half of the season. So I don't know. Like I said, I didn't have a list. I just kind of looked through and just kind of started talking about some teams that I thought personally need to make the playoffs. I mean, it's only a handful. Clemson's got to be there. Too much hype to not let it happen. Ohio State, defend your title. Texas, you're the favorite. Penn State, after the good season you had last year, making the semifinal, you can't. If you really want people to respect James Franklin after last year, back it up by making a good run in the playoffs this year, or make a national title or something. Georgia's got to make it. Alabama's got to make it. Miami, I think's got to make it. Um, just to avoid the laughing stock that is the ACC right now. Nebraska doesn't have to make it unless you're Nate. It'd be cool to see Big Red in there, though. I'm gonna say that. Next step is winning 9 to 10 games for Nebraska. I agree fully. That's like the category of Michigan right now, Nebraska, get back to 10 games or 10 wins. Um, I really want to put Auburn in that 10-win category. It's not going to happen, but they need to find time within the next few years to get back to winning 10 games. My gosh, it's been a minute. Florida, not going to win 10 games. They're going to go like 8-4, but they're still, it might be a good season. Tennessee's got to win 10 games. Does Tennessee have to make the playoff after the Nico stuff? I don't know. Indiana, what does Indiana do? Do they have to make it? Oklahoma? Yeah, I mentioned, you know what? Because of brand, I had mentioned Lincoln Riley and USC. Don't forget he was at Oklahoma. And he really made that brand really good. Now Bob Stoops did it too, but um Oklahoma's just too big a brand right now to just sit on the sidelines during the playoffs. It's Oklahoma. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't think about that. They have been an embarrassment for the SEC. Last year was awful, man. And Alabama had to lose to them. That was probably our worst loss of the season. I would have much rather I would have much rather just taken the Vandy and Tennessee losses. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Um, no, I think Oklahoma's gotta get back to it. Texas A&M, Miami, teams like that. Am I crazy to think about teams like Miami that need to make the college football playoff? Am I crazy for that? Come on, do something. They haven't even won a conference. They made the ACC title one time. They've never won the ACC. Haven't won anything major since 2002, 2001. Been in the conference since like '05 or '04. I mean, Kansas State, Iowa State. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's necessarily a Big 12 team that has to make it. I think the Big 12 just needs to represent and stand up and win some more playoff games because they haven't had a good track record. For a while, it was always Oklahoma getting in there and getting beat the first round 3 years in a row. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hope Lou goes live tonight. I might call in. I don't know what I want to talk about yet, but what's funny is Nebraska has been an embarrassment for the Big Ten, and the same thing for Oklahoma. In that, oh, SEC, yeah, yeah, it's a shame. You hate to see it. Hate to see it. Georgia's got to make it. Georgia will make it. They have to, but I think it's obvious. I think you're getting Alabama, Texas, and Georgia from the SEC this year in the playoff. I think you're going to get that. LSU, I don't. I like them this year, but I don't think they make it. But I feel like Brian Kelly has to make it. And I think because of Brian Kelly, because that's what you gotta factor in too, like I say, you have programs and brands, but then you have coaches. Brian Kelly isn't due for anything, but isn't he 0-2 with Notre Dame in the playoffs? He's 0-1 in a national title. He's just never won a major postseason game. So I think for his sake, getting to the playoff and then winning a game, yes, LSU probably needs to make it this year. Just my opinion. Ask him about what's wrong with Georgia, with Nebraska from yesterday's conversation. Ask who? Matt Rule or Brian Kelly? What did I miss? Oh, ask Lou. Ask Lou what's wrong with Georgia and Nebraska or with Nebraska? What are you trying to say? Because I feel like you mistyped that. I'm trying to understand what you want me to ask him. Anyway, I've given my 2 cents. Oh, how Nebraska owns Georgia and LSU. Okay. If I remember, I'll try to ask him. So, but yeah, definitely if you watch this back, leave a thumbs up and a subscribe. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments just who you think needs to make the college football playoff in 2025. I mentioned a lot of teams: Alabama, Georgia, Texas. What's up, Cody? Am I ready for football? You know I am, man. Always, always, always ready. Good to see you, Cody. Good to see you in here too, Nate. Love you guys. I appreciate you. I am close to dinner time, so I am going to get off of here. I gave my 2 cents. Appreciate y'all for watching. Jesus loves you. I love you. God bless. And we'll see you next time here at BSM. And yeah, again, just give me your thoughts in the comments. I mean, there's only a handful of teams that need to make the playoff, and then you get into predictions and be like, well, here's what's going to happen, or what I think is going to happen with 12 teams. So, anyway, give me predictions, give me takes, give me agreements or disagreements in the comments below after watching this. And I'll see you next time here at BSM. I love y'all. Jesus loves you. Peace.